Hello again. Yeah, stupid me. Yeah. There's a problem with OBS that if I launch it, I have to make sure that um, everything updates. Yeah, like cameras, I need to switch away, switch back on Mac. I don't know why that is. Um, so I need to make sure that okay, this is my main camera works. Yeah, my full screen. Yeah, if I move that around, yeah, that works too. Um, and if I use it, my iPad, yeah, that's also here. Yeah, also works. Yeah, so I now recorded for an hour, full hour, yeah, showed everything of SwiftMCP 1.0, and then you didn't see anything of what I was showing. Yeah, so let's do the same thing again, but this time a little bit quicker. Yeah, so uh, I've worked on SwiftMCP for quite some time now, and at this point I can say it's feature complete. Yeah, so in the SwiftMCP spec, so let me switch to screen. Yeah, you see there are server features and clients features. So let's walk through them. Yeah, so the first feature that MCP had was tools. Yeah, and tools work such in Swift MCP that you uh, just have a function in a reference type, an actor or a class. You annotate it with MCP tool, and then that's all. And also the actor or class you have to annotate with MCP server, and then you can serve that either as standard IO or HTTP SSE. And what Swift MCP does is it exposes this function automatically. There's nothing more you need besides some doc.c comments and this attribute. That's all it takes because behind the scenes, this macro will get from the source code the metadata you need. Yeah. So yeah, for some reason the expand macro doesn't always work. Yeah. So it gets this metadata for the function. And also creates a function that allows me to call this function with a JSON dictionary. And then behind the scenes, it will extract the data. It will put in default values if there are any. Like for example, here in subtract, you have default values. If they are not passed, they will be substituted. And then the individual parameters get taken from this dictionary, and the original function is being called. And the original function, whatever it returns back, will then be properly represented in JSON, and that's what gets sent to the client. Yeah, and as a client, I have here the model context protocol inspector. This was the first tool that I used for testing. And what this does is it gives you nice ways to call these individual things. And here's the list of the tools. Yeah, the simplest one here is get current date time. So you call this and you get back a result. And basically what it just did is it returned date. Yeah, and you see this is date is a date here, but MCP server automatically converts that into this RFC 8 something date. So this gets sent back as text. Yeah. And what you can do is, for example, you can copy this. Oops. And here's format data string. Yeah. So you run this. So it gets sent again as string. Yeah. But the function here takes a date parameter. So MCP server, Swift MCP converts the date automatically into a date type and then formats a string out of it. Yeah, and that's it essentially for tools. Yeah, that was the thing that was working the longest. Then came resources. Originally, resources were just a list of files, in this case in my download folder. But I figured after a while at looking at other PHP implementations of MCP servers, uh, they had this tool attribute, yeah, and then some PHP things was essentially here the comments, and they also had the same thing for resources. So I figured, okay, why not? Yeah, so resources can be three things. It can either be resources that you provide dynamically, get dynamic file resources, which is an array of MCP resource that you can build together, which is what you see here on this list on the side. Yeah, these are all files in my download folder. Can click at them and then you see the contents here on the right side. Yeah. Or it can be, that's the other thing. Yeah, if you have a function that is annotated with at MCP resource and then a static URI, then calling this URI or getting the resource for this URI will actually call the function for you. Yeah, and in this case, return Swift server MCP server 1. Yeah. Actually, let me make sure that I have my OBS. Yeah, that shows what I'm supposed to show. So you have, if it's static one, here get server info. Yeah, Swift MCP info. But you can also have placeholders in your MCP resource. This case user ID. Yeah, and if that then weren't here, yeah, then the compiler would actually complain about that, because every parameter here needs to have a representation in this URI. And again, SwiftMCP takes care of transforming this into the correct type. And so you only have to worry about, this is the function you're calling, in this case, hello user number so-and-so. Yeah. So if I do list templates, yeah, I've got 3 templates here. User ID 222, yeah, read resource, hello user 222. And there are 2 kinds. Yeah, there are the ones function that just return a string. Those will get packaged as a MIME type text plain with text to text. And the second kind of MIME type, by the way, like for example here, this is a bit too big, but this is a file, an image JPEG. Then you don't have text, but you have a blob, which is base 64 encoded the binary. And you have, in this case, search users, for example. This has 3 parameters, yeah, and those look like this here. Yeah, you have a query, a page, and a limit. And what you can also do is, if you have default parameters, then you can have multiple URI that you either have them or have them not, and they would still be matched. Yeah. So, but the problem is they would look, they would appear as separate templates. So that's a bit stupid. But okay, that's implemented. And then here is one example where I have the color message. Yeah. This uses an enum, and enums, if they are marked as case iterable, then I can automatically convert them between text and basically the label here. And in this case, yeah, so color can be red, for example, and the bool would be true, yeah, and then read the resource, and I selected red, yeah. And what you've seen here actually is another feature, yeah. If you if you start typing here, yeah, you will get auto completion, and that's a feature in MCP called completions. And for case iterable enums and boolean, I automatically do that for you, even if you don't have any other. But you also have the ability to implement MCP completion providing, and then you can override this. Yeah, and here I have, for example, for the parameter name query. Yeah, if you type here one character, it will fill it out, and in this case, show the user that matches the best. Yeah, at the top. Yeah, and that's completions in the MCP spec. Yeah, so that's number two. And number three on the server are prompts. And prompts are very much similar as uh, tools and resources. Yeah. But the idea here is to build together a prompt that can be just one message, or it can be multiple message. It can be sort of even a back and forth, because a prompt message can have either a role assistant or a role user. Yeah, so you could put in there like a conversation. Yeah, and the LLM that connects to this MCP server would then take this multiple message and put them into the context and continue. And such messages can also content can be text, it can be an image, an audio file, or even a resource. So you could have one of the messages be a PDF, and then you continue essentially in the LLM a chat based on the contents of the PDF. Yeah, and this is really there are two ways, yeah, how functions interface with prompts. One is if you return an array of prompt messages. The other is if you return a basic type, and the basic types are turned into one prompt message that has as a text the JSON representation of what you send back, because they always have to be encodable. Yeah, so the color prompt, for example, in this case, prompts list, let's do the color prompt with red. Yeah, comes back a user message of type text with the text. Yeah, as a convenience. On the server side, there are two more things that I want to mention. One is logs. Yeah, so if we look at the spec, yeah, let's look at the spec. So we've got server features tools, we've got resources, we've got prompts, and then there are utilities. And here you find completion, we already mentioned, and here's logging. Yeah. So what is logging? Logging means you can emit certain messages that the client essentially has its own small log file for individual functions. Yeah. So what I'm doing here in this demo is for every function, I just log the name of the function and the arguments. Yeah. And that's what you see here on the right side of MCP inspector, these server notifications. These are the log messages. So here's one info, get user greeting with a certain argument, and that gets logged here. And I'm there's other ways how to test that. Yeah, one is there is a, a a guy named, if I can get his name right, Indragi Karunaratne. Sorry for butchering your name. And he made a very nice Mac app that has tools, prompts, resources, and also has these logs. And here you see how they look like. Yeah. So if you call a function, say get current date time, go. Yeah. then you have the get guaranteed time log message here. So you can have, if you imagine have a long running process that can have multiple events happening. Yeah, so you could say, for example, I have this test function countdown, which you see it's running, but while it does so, you get the okay. Here's a drawback in context for the logs to work. No, why does it not log? I think that's a bug. Yeah, because here, if you if I run the tool countdown, yeah, this sends a notification every second. Yeah, and these notifications, oh no, actually these are progress notifications. I'm stupid. I confused myself. So what you actually have the start and the end message here, yeah, which are just normal normal notifications. And by the way, let me show you again how they are sent. Here's my countdown. Yeah, you basically say session current. Session current gives you access to the current session from the beginning of the client. If it has multiple interactions, the session keeps going and you can send to this session these log notifications. And so it sends a starting one and it sends when it's finished. So these are the two ones you see here. Yeah. And the other thing on the server is if you have a long running process, the client can also send a cancel message. Yeah. And unfortunately, I haven't found one inspector or tool yet that supports the cancel messages. But well, those I implemented also. It just needs to send the ID of the request, and then it will cancel it. And it looks such that you can have this try task check cancellation in your uh, in your function. And if the task this runs in has been cancelled, then this will throw and exit the function. Yeah. It needs that's called cooperative cancellation. Yeah, because it doesn't just tear down the task. Swift is not that brutal. And so that's the thing for the server. Yeah. Pagination I haven't done yet. It would basically mean if you have a very long response to, say, an array of 10,000 items, yeah, then the client could just get the first 100 and then it gets a cursor and then get the next one. I haven't seen a use case for that yet, so that's why I've skipped that so far. Now that's it for the server. Now we come to client features, and there are three. There's roots, sampling, and elicitation. And elicitation just arrived in June. Yeah, so roots means that your client can specify certain. Let's remove that, for example, certain roots that then the server can somehow access to. Yeah, and you see I'm logging here a roots list update because what I do is there's a way to essentially react to if you implement handle roots list changed. Yeah, in this case I can get an updated list of roots from the session, the current session, and then here I just log it. Yeah, so that's what you see here in the log roots list updated. So you have documents, and if I add another one, let's say we want developer, and we we select my developer, open, yeah. And now that's been updated. So the server was sent a notification, then the server then said, okay, give me the updated list. And now we have 2 entries here, yeah, this and this. And by the way, that works the same in MCP inspector. Yeah, so if you, here have ich, this has different routes, so I can do an add route here, yeah, save changes. And now I've got a message here, routes list updated, and this inspector doesn't set a name, yeah, but this is the file I set here. So that's routes. Second feature on the client is sampling. The idea of sampling is that the MCP server can ask the client to perform a certain LLM completion for him. Like the client might have, if the client is an LLM like Claude, yeah, that makes sense. Or you might have some other ways to get some sampling going, and then you can do sort of on the client some private sampling, and then with the result of that, continue your function on the server. So what I have is in the demo server, I have a sample from client function, and this sample from client function can take some model preferences. So you can say, yeah, I want O1 or Llama with cost is a priority, speed is a priority, intelligence is priority. So that helps it select the model. And then you send it a prompt, and this will wait until the client returns either I accepted this, or I declined it, or I cancel it. And the difference is accept means, yeah, my LLM did a certain thing, and here's the result. Cancel means, no, I don't want to do this. Stop doing everything. And decline means continue. I don't want to provide this information. Yeah, and this you can test this with MCP inspector. Yeah, so we have sampling here, nothing there yet, and you need to be fast because there's a annoying timeout. So what I can do is I have this function sample from client, yeah, greet me. And so I run the tool. I need to jump over to sampling and say what the response should be, and should say approve. Actually, I just told you a nonsense. I can do approve or reject. Yeah. So if I approve, then the response of that is sent to the server while it's still in the sample from client function, and then the result of this function is what's finally being returned, and this is case high, because here in this example I just return the response from sample, which is just a string. Yeah, so that's how you use sampling. Yeah, actually, let me quickly try something. Greet me, and if I run this and then go to sampling, there is also a reject. What happens if I reject tools? Then, okay, client error sampling request rejected. Is error is true. Yeah. So this is how it looks if a rejection happens. So 2 down, 1 more to go on this speed run. The last thing that was added was elicitation, and you can think of it like there might a situation arise, especially when there's something agentic going on, where the MCP server decides, there's this one bit of information that would be handy to get from the user, yeah, like a GitHub username or some other preferences. And with this, it can essentially, we have an example here. Where is it? Here. Request some contact info, for example. Yeah, you set up a JSON schema. You say what is required, and then you call on the request context current elicit. Yeah, and this will also with this message, it will ask for this information, and then the response can be accept. Yeah, you get the information, decline, user doesn't want to provide it, or cancel, user canceled. Yeah, and this isn't implemented yet in MCP inspector. It is not implemented in context, but I found there's a fork of inspector called MCP Jam, and that looks like this. Token exchange failed. Why does this happen? No. Okay, there's some, occasionally there is some issue with OAuth. Yeah. So let's try that again. Connect OAuth callback. Okay, now it worked. They share some things behind the scenes, and that might cause some issues. So I'm connected now, and I don't see anything of elicitation here, but this supports it. So if I go to my tools, load tools, and here's the request contact info. If I run the tool, you see, I get a form to fill in, email address, full name. Yeah, that's something here. Full name, Oliver, age 51. I have a submit. Okay, the unknown format email. Okay, there's still a bug. Um, So I would decline in this case. Yeah, user declined to provide contact information. I have another example where that works, namely request user preferences. So if I run this, yeah, and fill out some things here. Deutsch, now I submit. This needs to be between this, let's say, submit. All right. So now the preferences were saved, and I get back a success. The thing that you might have noticed, every time I call this, the order of these rows changes. And the reason is that there is no inherent order of JSON dictionaries. And that's, I think, an oversight on the spec. On the other hand, it probably relies on the order of things in JSON, but it's a hell of a lot of work to get JSON, get a JSON dictionary in a certain order in Swift, because JSON dictionaries have no inherent order. There might be an order dictionary, but the order dictionary still encodes in a JSON encoder that is a keyed container. The keyed container, the only thing you could do is give the keys a certain number, and then do some post-processing. So make the data back into a string, and then remove all the prefixes. Yeah, and then you would have the same order. Yeah, I might do that, but that's not conformant to JSON or Swift. Yeah, so I'd rather that the spec actually have some parameter that says what the order should be of these items. And if you just ask for a single value, then it doesn't matter, because that's always in the same area. Yeah, and that is elicitation. Yeah, so let's see how are we doing. Yeah, yeah. Like here, MCP Jam, just to show, they have some functionality to connect with Olama, and then I think you can use the sampling with it. So back to the spec. Yeah. So we have all the client features, we have all the server features except pagination, and because of this, I am giving this now version 1.0 for SwiftMCP. I'll have a blog post later today, maybe, or tomorrow, or on Monday about it. But this is now basically feature complete, and I'm hoping for anybody interested in making his app also an MCP server. That's something you can do quite easily. I've got an example here where I where is it? Where I made a, what's it called, api.me. There's a where is it here? Whoop de whoop, come here, come to me, come to Papa. Um, I haven't updated this yet, but it's essentially a Mac app that uses SwiftMCP as server, so you can access uh, information like your emails, your contacts, your calendar, um, the weather from Apple Weather Service, reminders, some information from maps. Yeah, uh, you can connect to those, con communicate with those from an LLM that can use this as a HTTP server. Yeah. Let's see, does it come up? Takes a while to build it. Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's been a lot of work. It's been a bit hindering to not have any client that has all the features for proper testing. But it's getting there. There are more and more features being added to context and MCP inspector and MCP jam. Yeah, there you go. Here's my server. Yeah, so I can have my emails here set up, and you can just run the server. Yeah, and if you do that, it doesn't work at the moment because my Swift MCP is running here. Um, and uh, if I stop this now, I can start the server. Yeah, and now under this address, I have access to all my other data. And I imagine it would be quite helpful if you have a specialized app for certain things. Yeah, to actually put the MCP server into the Mac app like that. Yeah, to have a local address with a certain port, and your LLM can connect to those. And there's also the possibility, if you use there's this tool ngrok, yeah, ngrok, where you can get one static domain name, and if I do this, yeah, now my MCP server is accessible under this address, yeah, and that gets forwarded. So this is HTTPS, and it gets tunneled to my localhost 8080, which is essentially the Mac app. Yeah. So uh, that's what I would like people to do with SwiftMCP. So thank you for watching me, watching this speed run over all the features of SwiftMCP. I'm very much looking forward to feedback uh, and comments and likes and subscribes, and see you next time. Hope to get in contact with you sometime. Bye bye.